We're a bunch of smartasses.
All right. Take a minute for him to get the mic on. Get all that stuff there. All right. Here we go. Ready?
No, hang on.
What did you do now, knucklehead? Shut up. All right. Welcome back to Basics Paranormal. You have Ron,
Kelly,
Jeff,
and we are going to be here with you live tonight through TikTok, as well as the recording that we're doing. So it's hopefully it'll be a little bit more fun. Kelly is going to, in a little bit, going to walk through with us the Lumber Baron Inn from the 28 Days Haunted, right, Kelly?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So just to give a little bit of recap of what happened last week, we didn't have an actual Back to Basics Paranormal. We had a Back to Basics sit down because powwow was not allowed. So with all that being said,
it was frowned upon.
Right.
Frowned upon.
Right. Absolutely. So with all that being said, we are back here this week. Last week, we talked a lot about the Amityville. And we went over the EVP that Kelly's son, Michael, brought to the group. And we went over that sound. And then if we have a little time later, we'll go back over that. And we're going to go ahead and just jump on in tonight. And Kelly, get us started. Let's talk about this.
All right. So tonight we're going to be, like as Ron said, we're going to be going over the Lumber Baron Inn that's located in Denver, Colorado. On the Netflix series 28 Days Haunted, they investigated this house. And if you watch 28 Days, you'll see some of the information. You'll find some of the information that we're going to talk about tonight. A little bit of history of the Lumber Baron Inn. It was built in 1890 by a Scottish immigrant by the name of John Mowat for his wife Amelia and their 5 children. The home was built in the historic Potter Highlands neighborhood that had been created by the Scottish immigrants. Mowat had done well in lumber and purchased a quarter of the block of that neighborhood for only $7,000.
That $7,000 is all they bought that for?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
In 1890. So
that would have been what, a couple million today, or
a couple million today,
at least a couple 100,000.
A couple million today.
Right.
So Mowat used several different types of hardwoods in the interior of the home, which giving it the name, the Lumber Baron Inn. He included, oak, cherry, and walnut, which using different types of wood was not common. Mowat and his family lived in the home until he retired in 1906. After Mowat vacated the home, it remained vacant until sometime in the late 1970, when the home was then converted into a 23-room tenement building, also known as apartment building, or the one-room apartments. Later that same year, the home will become the scene of one of Denver's oldest unsolved double murders. And this is where we start to pick up from 28 Days Haunted.
So let's dive in a little bit to 28 Days. So for those of you that are watching, 28 Days Haunted is a show that aired on Netflix. It covered 3 different locations. We're going to break down, like she said, the Lumber Baron Inn tonight, this week. Our next paranormal episode, we are going to break down another one of the locations, and then the couple weeks after that, we would do the other location. For those of you who have been with us and who haven't had a lot of Jeff, this is Jeff, obviously. He joins us every other week here live on the podcast. And Kelly and I kind of do an in between during the week. So
we're just discuss random things.
Right. So Jeff, you watched 28 Days.
Sure did.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that this is probably one of your least favorite properties
Of the 3, yes.
Okay. Why was that?
I don't know. To me, I'm part of this group. I'm the non-believer here.
Right. Skeptic.
Of skeptic. And so to me, it's just the most unbelievable one for me. It was like, I didn't like the story. Didn't really like the people doing the investigation. I don't know. It just wasn't into that one. I joined the other ones more. Thought there was more like, if I had to go investigate, that'd be the last one I'd go to. Right. To see or feel or whatever.
Yeah. Sure. So they did a couple of techniques in that specific location that I've never seen before as an investigator in all my years investigating. Kelly, it was called
The Electro.
No, not that one. This was the one where they did blindfold. That was the
the
Etsy. So what that was basically you have one person is blindfolded.
Yeah, one person.
One or two people that are blindfolded, but it's generally one.
Blindfolded, and they had their ears covered.
And they had their ears covered.
Sound canceling headphones on.
Mm-hmm. And those headphones I'm not sure exactly how that worked. Now that I think about it.
The two guys that did it, and it was Shane Pittman and Ray Cossey, who did the EPSI sessions. They were connected to a spirit box, and they had sound counseling headphones on, so they couldn't hear anything outside of what was in the headphones. And then they were both blindfolded. So the only thing they're hearing is what's coming through the spirit box. So that's what an EPSI session is.
Okay. And Kelly, I'm going to focus this on you since you're doing most of the talking, but and you'll probably get better views because you're a female and I'm not. But I liked that approach. Because the people that were not doing the actual the people that were not blindfolded.
So the only one that was not blindfolded. So the investigators for the Lumber Baron Inn were Amy Parks. She is a psychic medium. Not really as much known about her, as she prefers to lead a private life. I don't know much of what she's going to be doing after being on Netflix. Shane Pittman is a paranormal investigator. He is one of the leading experts on the Holzer files and is a member of Searchers, a paranormal group aimed at finding the answers to paranormal activity. He is partnered with Ray Cossey, who is also a paranormal investigator, and he has worked with Shane Pittman as a member of Searchers for the last 10 years. So those are the three investigators that we had for Lumber Baron and on 28 days.
So tell me when the person is sensory depth, right?
That's sensory deprivation.
Right, sensory deprivation. When they have that in there, because I don't remember all the terms.
But that wasn't this property.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yes, it was this property.
Yeah, he did the pool thing in the backyard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sensory deprivation it's a way of unlocking, psychic ability or sensitivity or empathy. What it does is you're literally you're in your own mind and you're unlocking because you're turning off all your other senses and you're just feeling everything for yourself.
So do you think that him doing that in the pool in the backyard, and I'll get back to the blindfold thing in a minute, but doing the thing in the backyard, do you think it actually brought out his psychic ability?
I believe so, yeah, because I'm a firm believer in the psychic abilities and being sensitive and sensory deprivation.
I mean, I'm pretty sensitive.
It's a very dangerous thing to do as well.
Well, sure, and I'm sensitive myself. When my wife yells at me, I cry. But
not that kind of sensitive.
No, but with all that being said, going back to the blindfold. So when the person's being blindfolded and he's got the headphones and sound headphones. Mm-hmm. What is the other person doing?
Same thing.
But there was only one person blindfolded.
No, they were both blindfolded. They both had headphones on. This is when they both did it.
In the one room, when they first started it.
Amy was watching.
Right. So what was Amy doing? Amy, wasn't she...
They were asking questions. There were someone's like, hey, who's
she was asking questions,
questions, and he would answer her.
Even though she couldn't hear him.
No, they were repeating what they were saying, what they were hearing from the spirit box.
So,
but answering questions she was asking that they could not hear.
Right.
And supposedly they couldn't hear her.
Yes.
Right.
But a lot of the questions that she asked, they gave pretty accurate answers to.
Yeah.
Well, it was one-word answers.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's a spirit box. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Now,
obviously, spirits don't talk in full sense.
But they were both saying, and they were both saying the same thing at different times.
So
we know. Because I'm doing most of the talking right now.
Well, I just wanted to let y'all know because I was scrolling and it came up.
Oh, my son decided to break into the podcast once again this week. So I've got TikTok going live, focusing on Kelly, but the recordings on all three of us.
Yeah.
So we're good, Bubba.
Put a shirt on.
God love him.
He is such a doofus. Anyway, so that's essentially what they were doing.
Yeah. I don't remember if she was asking questions or she was just witnessing what was going on.
They were talking.
Was she asking questions?
Yeah, they were talking. The other person was sitting there like responding back what they heard from the questions they were asking.
Right.
But which they could not hear. But one reason I didn't like this group was every group had inner fighting.
Yeah.
But this group, it's me, they didn't really do much. A lot of it is because she didn't want to use her powers because she was like scared or whatever it was.
It wasn't she didn't want to use her powers per se.
She didn't want
she didn't want to do mirror scribe, and that was the thing, because mirrors are known portals for the opposite side, for the spirit world. And if she was afraid that if she was going to connect with something that was unnatural or maybe even so much as demonic, she could be trapped in or bring it through the mirror on that side. And then life for her would be hell for the next, however many years. So
that's why he got into the pool, because they were kind of at a stalemate. And so he's like, hey, I'll take on the job of being a sensory guy and the spirit. So he got into the pool, which then was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then they went back down to the tunnel and found the note. And it was like, to me, it was too...
Convinced two
that was a little hokey for me as well.
The whole thing was like, hey, who are you? And the guy's like, oh, my name's Angela. And he's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, and then they found the note. It was too staged, that whole thing. Yeah, it was very staged the whole entire time. And they just fought the whole entire time.
And then when she did the candle scrying.
That was her compromise.
That was the compromise, yeah.
Which was cool. I didn't mind. I liked her when she did things. She just didn't do a lot.
Yeah.
Right. She was, for her coming in to be a psychic or a sensitive, she really didn't take a whole lot of part in the investigations, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But in her defense, if she is what she says she was, the sensitive or psychic, and she's done this before, and she's done mirror scribing before, and it pulled something in and she's crossed over or something else has crossed in, that it's a fair enough. I mean, think about it. So,
well, then don't go on a TV show and be a psychic.
Right. Well, let's talk about you, Jeff. You're a skeptic, yeah?
True.
So, and we're planning on going into a graveyard next week or this coming weekend, which we're going to film a little bit live on TikTok as well, and we're going to put some of this footage out there. But, we go to this graveyard, and you just stand there and don't do anything. You're not asking questions. Why go? You know what I mean? Why get involved?
Yeah.
That's kind of the same situation.
I want to believe,
right?
But I think I said this before in one of the episodes. I think maybe that you somehow screwed up.
Well, I'll take that as a hit.
I want to believe. I want to see spirits. I want to hear spirits. I just, it's like, show me, right? It's like I need this. I'm a very factual person.
Absolutely.
Right? So
see it, feel it.
I want to believe. I have to. I just not there.
Right.
We're going to get you there.
And I hope I see something. I hope I feel something.
Yeah.
And I think we will get you there. It ain't
going to happen overnight.
And for those of you out there watching, you got to remember, for you actually to see a full blown spirit or an apparition is pretty unlikely. I've seen shadows. I've never seen a full blown apparition. I've seen people walk in the mirror, not as I'm watching you or as I see you, but as a shadow. I used to clean a martial arts studio, their carpets every 2 weeks. I know that place was haunted because it used to be a church, and they had a lot of funerals over in there.
Right.
And I would get the feeling that I was being watched, and all of a sudden I would see something out of my peripheral vision, and I'd look in the mirror, and there'd be a dark shadow just going across.
Was it ninja?
It might have been. It could have been a ninja.
That ghost was going to kick your ass.
Hocha mama. So, but yeah, you're going to hear most of the evidence that you're going to experience doing these investigations with us, and in true investigations, is video evidence of potential orbs, which I'm not fond of. I don't like orbs.
I don't either.
Put that out there. It could be dust, bugs, insect. I don't care what you say.
Here's what I hope, because, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It may never happen. The biggest thing with a skeptic and turning them and getting to going from skeptic to believer is having that experience on their own. Yeah. And as you had said before, you were at a college and they were like, oh, she was supposed to play the piano, and you had gone out and said, come on, play the piano for me. You may never get it because, like you said, that
she knows you're a skeptic.
She knows you're not really there. I'm not going to play games. So you have to go in with that open mind.
You definitely have to have an open mind when you're doing paranormal investigation. Like I said, I've been touched, not in an inappropriate way, but I've been scratched.
That's inappropriate.
Well, not in that
Don't
sense either.
Me.
Yeah, not like in the Alanis Morissette song, Yeah, not that way. But I've seen shadows. I've seen not seen, but heard EVPs that are pretty hard not convince that I've heard something that wasn't there. For example, the EVP for Michael.
Right.
How do I know that wasn't you in the background? I wasn't there, but Michael knows it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Michael's the one that flipped out and brought it to you.
Right.
How many times in your grandma's basement have we been down there and we know somebody's not there, but we see something walking through the plane window or whatever. So there's that. Once it happens to you, Jeff, you'll start to believe.
We'll get into other, I think, places on the show, but like the one of the Grand Cinema, they had more physical evidence where a chair was thrown and they had the cabinet opened up, which is like, which is a little freaky. You want something on TV. They actually had things on camera, but then you question the show, but they did have stuff like this. The first one we're talking about now didn't really have anything. It just, they had a couple of times they spoke through spirits, but
they had the first time they were down in the cellar or in that tunnel, and he said, I just saw a full-blown shadow. When he turned around, you saw the shadow just barely.
Oh, I was gonna look that in the Log Baron,
and the Lumber Baron Inn when they're down in the tunnel.
They went down the first time.
The first time they went
again and found the note.
Yeah, the first time they went down, and that's where I thought it was genuine. The first time they went down is, they're talking, and she's like, I have a very, it's very somber, very heavy feeling, and they're like, what the fuck was that? And then all of a sudden he goes, I just saw a shadow, and he turned, and you saw a shadow.
I must not have been paying that close attention because I didn't see that shadow.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at it. I remember them
it's
saying
a second.
that.
I'm going to go back and watch it, definitely, for sure.
It's a second, yeah.
But they all say the same. It's me. Every group says the same thing. It's always like a bunch of energy. It's dark energy. It's
heavy
energy, whatever. They all kind of play out the same and just different.
Yeah.
And I think this was the worst group for me.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I agree with that. One of the things that I thought was towards the end of the series on this, they argued about the mirror scribing, right?
Yes.
Scrying.
And they are scribing, whatever. Scribing, whatever. Kelly's perfect. I'm not, whatever. They ganged up on her basically and told her that, well, you're not putting enough effort into this. You're a big part of this. You're the skeptic, or you're the psychic, or you're this or that.
Yeah, they were not taking her feeling into account.
Right. Then you have her talked into doing the candle scribing, whatever, Kelly. Scrying. I'll get all this right, people. Trust me, at some point in my life, I will get all of this right.
Say Amityville.
Amityville.
You can't.
Right. So it's kind of, and then you have that, and then you have the two guys going behind her back, and well, she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. She's a big part of this. Da 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 da. And then, when he finally goes into the pool and does the sensory detection pool. He says, okay, I know this person's name, that person's name, this person's name. And what I'm getting at is from there, they go down into the tunnel. They find out of the blue, this newspaper clipping, right?
Yeah.
That how long has it really been there? We don't know.
Right. Well, they said the spirit was saying it's in the open. You've seen it, something like that. You haven't looked or something like that. So we went back down there to look for stuff. And said,
when they did the seance around the table, remember, it was down.
But there's a clear view, but it was like in a crack in the wall or something.
Right.
Yeah, and it was like behind a brick.
Yeah.
Or something.
So it wasn't really it wasn't in plain view, but it was the spirit told them where to look.
Yeah, right. They were directed to it.
And then they were going into trying to figure out maybe who actually committed the murders for the two girls, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the haunting and
don't steal her thunder.
The story of. I've got all that here.
Excellent.
I know. I'm good.
Good segue. Let's go.
All right. Well, let's jump right into that then, and I'll go into my skepticism later.
All right. So going into after the Lumber Baron Inn was turned into the 23-room tenement in 1970, there was a double murder of 17-year-old high school dropout Kara Lee Noak, and I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sorry, and her 18-year-old friend Marianne Weaver. On October 11th, 1970, Kara had celebrated her 17th birthday with her family. She had made plans to return to school, complete her high school education, had gotten a job, and had made plans to move out of the single-room apartment that was at the Lumber Baron Inn 4 days later. However,
so that was an apartment complex then.
It was a tenement building, which is one room.
Where they rented out the tenant, and there was a common kitchen and all that.
Right. I know it's that big.
Yeah.
I thought it was only like
it was
23 rooms.
23 rooms.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that big either.
It was 23-room tenement. 2 days later, on the 13th of October, Kara was found dead in her same apartment. She had been strangled, and I'm just going to say S.A. Her body had been shoved under the bed. Her friend, Mary Ann Weaver, it is believed, walked in on the murder of Kara and was killed by a single gunshot to the head with a small caliber handgun. Her body was found laying on the bed.
Right.
After the murders, the city had the building condemned. Let me go back up here because I do. Oh, for God's sakes. So after the murders, the city had the building condemned until it was saved and restored by the Keller family, who opened it up as a B&B, and then it was later sold to its current owner, Joel Bryant, in 2016, who still operates the home as a B&B today. So the hauntings, there have been several reports from visitors to the Lumber Baron Inn. They've heard footsteps in the empty home, female voices can be heard whispering. As we were saying during the Netflix show 28 Days Haunted, the 3 paranormal investigators stayed in the home and documented their experiences there. Supposedly, they knew nothing of the property prior to their stay, and through the recessions, ITSY sessions, as we were discussing earlier, and candle scrying, they learned scrying. They learned of the murders of Kara and Mary Ann, concluding that they were killed by a possible serial killer. So
possible.
But that was the whole thing, because there's the escape route through the tunnel.
The tunnel, right?
Yeah, that I couldn't fit through, but
right. So there have been multiple reports from visitors to the Lumber Baron Inn of paranormal activity. Again, I think I already said this, including hearing footsteps in the empty home and female voices whispering. Other hauntings, a former soldier called Ben, whose boot steps can be heard on the upstairs floor when no one else is in the building. The former butler, named by several psychics as Mr. Jenks or Jenkins. He can be his apparition or spirit can be seen on the first landing of the staircase. Sarah Michelle is a little girl whose father was a trapper in the area that predates the house. So before the house was there, Sarah had died of frost, which is now known as hypothermia. Then, of course, is the spirits of the original owners.
Now, are these haunting, or these people that are passed or whatever, are spirits that are currently haunting the place?
Yes.
In addition to the 2 girls.
In addition to the 2 girls, yes. Then, of course, they're the spirits of the original owners of the home, John and Amelia Muat. Who, according to co-owner Elaine Britton Bryant, the late Mrs. Muat remains as a loving and very maternal energy who still has her opinions of things, including whether the lady of the house should be doing housework.
Okay, so
apparently does not like it when she's doing housework.
So let's stop right there. In 28 Days Haunted, show on Netflix, is which we're talking about, and we're talking about the Lumber Baron Inn. That what she said. There was a lot of different activity that happened in that show.
Yep.
That they didn't point a lot of attention to, such as the shadow up the stairs. When the two guys were on the staircase sitting there, I think it was the two boys or two guys were on the staircase sitting, and she was upstairs candle scrying. Right. They saw a shadow walk through the hallway from left until right. They don't know what that was. And then the lights were flickering on and off a lot in this particular location.
They had one that was like, wasn't the light like swaying back when they're sitting there and all of a sudden
it started swaying,
moving.
So my question is this: if they are there to investigate the spirits in the home or in the building, right? Why focus? So this is, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'm not going to say why I think this was a hoax by any means. So the stretch, well, okay, maybe by a hoax, because I kind of with Jeff on this particular.
You're taking my side on this right now.
I'm kind of taking for this property. There's a lot of focus on these two murdered girls, which really did happen. Yeah. We know that. We know that for a fact.
And the murders took place in the Victoria room, which is where Amy was staying.
Right. But there was nothing ever said about the girl that died with Frost or the owners or this or that or this or that. But yet the host of the show, which happened to be a son-in-law of Fred and Warren, Ed and Lorraine Warren, which were very known in the paranormal world for things like the Amityville Hauntings, The Conjuring, those type of shows. They were Annabelle. Took place. All of that supposedly I think whatever.
Their concept of the 28 days, right? They were the ones who came up with
They came up with the concept of the 28 days.
28 days to really
to broach the veil.
Right. Yeah. So in each different location, including the lumber baron inn, anytime they found out a fact, or anytime that the investigators were to find out a fact or uncover a clue, they would go back and the screen would pause. It'd show the outside of the house. In fact, this is something that the investigators do not know, but this person is actually the person that died in that room. And then all of a sudden they go back down into the thing and they find the newspaper clipping. I just find that all too hard, too far-fetched.
I think you had a good point, though. There's so many spirits, but they were somehow focused in from get-go and never investigated the house. They just investigated that room. That
room and the tunnel are the only two main areas they investigated, and they did the seance in the dining room.
Right. And I think, my take on it is that because, the little girl died of, apparently, hypothermia. The butler, don't know what he passed. He may have just passed away. The soldier, not sure. I think this one was focused on so much because it was such a traumatic event, and it's unsolved.
And okay, so that may be the case, and I can appreciate that, but I still think in this particular location, I think there was too much coincidence going on,
too much focus on
exactly what happened and what was going on, and we'll break some of that down over the next few weeks when we talk about the other properties as well. But in this specific property, I just think that, okay, we're doing a seance. Now we need to be down. We need to be down. It's down. You're looking down. You're looking down. Where the hell am I going to look? Right. And then all of a sudden he gets a light bulb goes off in his head like a Scooby-Doo cartoon. And he goes downstairs and they go into the tunnel. And he's like, wait a minute, what's this? Out of the peripheral vision of his eyeball, he sees a newspaper clipping.
No, I think they saw they could see there was a void behind like one of the bricks.
Well, I mean, you're talking a building that was built in the 1800s.
X-ray vision there, like a void behind the brick.
Well,
I mean, was he fucking Superman?
There's a spacing between the bricks, like there was something you could take the brick out.
They did all that way. I think it was just an old like brick built
cellar.
Right. It was all limestone.
Yeah. It was like, why is that brick? It's like the hidden brick that you found, right? It's
right. And don't get me wrong, limestone's a huge conduit for the spirit, is what they say. Limestone, real limestone.
Yeah.
But I can walk into any building downtown or and just look at Main Street, St. Charles, any of them older buildings. I'm going to walk down, there. I'm not going to pull out every what looks to be loose brick to see if I can find a key to a murder.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point, I don't want to get too far in front of us in the other spots, but I agree with you that they nailed that one kind of. But my favorite place was the general store.
Yeah,
and that girl nailed that story. So if you want to say anything about like they were told about what happened,
no, I agree.
That one, I love those two people,
and that's the story.
The most interesting house of the three, but she was spot on. Like pregnancy, killings, families, dad, the whole thing.
And with this being with tonight being 2 weeks before Christmas, and you're going to see this a week before Christmas, however the fact may be. So that story, which is the inn, right? Or the general store.
Favorite one.
We're going to break that one down on our next episode because it will be our holiday episode because the murders took place on Christmas Day. So that's why we're going to do that one.
But I agree with you. That one was my favorite.
And it was.
But if your argument is, and I'm now counter arguing, is if your argument about this, Baron Inn is because they got the story right. They all get the stories right.
They all get stories right.
But that one, she nailed.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was the most crazy story of them all.
Well, and again, we're jumping ahead, but the one part in that whole episode where it freaked me the hell out was when he's like overexhausted, he's in the chair and she's walking around and all of a sudden you hear the word help me, like I'm talking to you right now. Yeah. And they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
See ya.
She's like, bye, see ya. I'm done.
They're most believable. Like when something happened, they were like, you could tell they were like freaked out.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh
The other people, she's like, I can't speak in the mirror. I'm scared. Like, dude,
but then when she was doing the candle, she was doing a candle shrine. Something grabbed her leg. Remember?
Supposedly, but
right.
They were standing. Get-go, they're staring underneath. That guy jumped too. Something from underneath the bed grabbed him.
Right, exactly.
But you see the thing move. You could see the when he's sitting there.
The sham on the bed.
The
sham?
No, not a sham. That's a pillow. The duster. What? I'm a girl.
You're such a fucking tard. I'm going to edit that out. I will bleep that out, I promise.
Thank you.
But
that's why I just said, I'm just going to say SA for the other one.
Right. So, anyhow, yeah.
So
this is what I love about this is this could just take any direction that we can.
I found some interesting stuff about the house though, particularly with Elaine, who helps take care of the house or whatever. According to Elaine, she brings flowers to the spirits of the two girls that were murdered, and she puts them in that room.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Right. At one point, she had said she got really busy, things going on, just, taking care of a bed and breakfast. It's a busy thing to do. And she had forgotten. The housekeeper who helps keep things going would listen to music while she'd be cleaning the room and would talk to the girls, tell them to pick some music on her Spotify. And she said, she claimed typically music from their era, so like the 1970s would play like the Jackson 5, Neil Diamond, stuff like that. On this particular day, the day that she had forgotten the flowers, the housekeeper said, was going in talking to the girls and pick some music, and they play in the song by Neil Diamond, "You Don't Bring Me Flowers" played.
Nice.
She said when she told her that, she immediately went out. She's like, and I went and got those girls their flowers.
Wow. Now that's a coincidence that I would. Now that's something that would be worth investigating.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
If we can get into that place, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It's
a bed and breakfast
to be able to investigate ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's just the fun of things. I just
and I'll look into it and see. I'll do some researching and digging into the Lumber Baron Inn and see if there's stuff that we can do. What
juice? Yeah, no cigarette juice because mine's upstairs. I don't feel like going upstairs, but anyway, I really wish Hannah was with us tonight because I think Hannah this recording's gone pretty well. So far we're 34 minutes into the recording and I think we're still going strong. With that being said, what
last thing I'll say about Elaine with the Lumber Baron Inn, she is very protective of the spirits that are in the home. She states they've been here longer than we have. And
absolutely.
She's very protective of them. She doesn't want, if she's going to let anybody come in, she's not going to let anybody be disrespectful to them.
No.
That one, I wouldn't be anyway.
I didn't get any bad vibes, that one. Like I didn't feel like it was like an evil spirit. Like the girls weren't with some of the other ones were demonic more.
Right.
Well, like in the general store, it was more demonic.
Yeah.
Right.
So that one was, one that would more peaceful spirits.
Yeah. One of the things I did find interesting though, because they were talking about, how it may have been a serial killer. The way the two girls died, she was strangled, which is very personal.
Very personal.
Very personal. And Marianne was shot. There was rumors because apparently Marianne had a 1.5-year-old daughter at the time of her death.
Isn't that the one that was shot?
That was the one that was shot.
Right, because they portrayed her saying, "Hey, please don't kill me. I got a daughter."
Yeah.
Right.
She had a child. She had a child at the time of her death, and something that I had found was that her daughter had talked to her grandmother, and her grandmother had said that Kara had threatened a white collar crime family, so like a mob family, that she was going to expose them. And this was
Kelly, how come every fucking
I don't know
spiritual thing we turn into a fucking
I couldn't find any other information on that
mob family shit.
But
there we got George Lutz wanting with the mafia, and now we got this guy running with the mafia.
It wasn't George Lutz. It was
what the fuck his name was. Who cares?
DeFeo Sr.
Yeah, him.
But
Big Ron.
I couldn't find any information on that to show it was true or not. But the fact that that she was strangled, she was assaulted. Those are very personal.
It's funny because it's
just ironic.
All paranormal falls back into
it's all the mob's fault,
right? But it's two different killings, and especially the if you strangle, it's potentially to be quiet if she's not yelling. But the gunshot, someone had to hear that, especially if it's a not an apartment, but it was like a hotel or
it was a tenement building.
So the guy ran downstairs and ran out to the tunnel and escaped through the tunnel.
Right. Boom.
My theory is that it was somebody she knew. It had to have been somebody she knew.
Which one? Strangled or the
Kara?
I think
that was strangled.
I
think it was somebody that she knew. I think that Marianne
it's still
knew
unsolved, right?
Yeah, it's still unsolved. I think Marianne knew him too.
Well, I think the same person killed both people.
He did. It was the same person.
Why is it a he?
Because what happened to her.
The essay.
The essay, yes.
And if you don't know what that means, don't feel bad. Neither do I.
Okay, I'll
don't say it.
I'll say what it means, but you can.
She was assaulted, and
she was assaulted
in a bad way.
In a bad way, exactly. The way she had been strangled, she'd been assaulted. The way she'd been assaulted, the way her body had been disposed of, just shoved under the bed, like it was being hidden. Marianne walked in on it, and was killed because you're going to identify me. You know who I am. So I think she knew. I think whoever did it was staying at the tenement at the time.
Well, in theory, though, didn't they come out and say that it's very possible that the guy that did it was coming in and out of the tunnel, right?
Serial killer.
The serial killer was coming in and out of the tunnel, and could have even possibly have stayed down there until the heat let off, because nobody really knew that I'm going to call it a sewer cover type lid or a whatever manhole cover was essentially there, and they didn't really notice that until they went down and found the piece of paper.
Right.
But it was obvious.
But to your point, though, she knew a serial killer?
No, I don't think. I don't think it's a serial killer.
Okay.
I don't think it's a serial killer at all. I couldn't see the ties, because when you have a serial killer, they have a strict modus operandi or MO. They follow the same pattern. They do the same thing. They don't change.
They do, but not
really.
Not as often
Not
as you
really.
think. I mean, they get sloppy.
They get sloppy,
and they
but
make
they
mistakes.
don't. Their modus operandi is pretty
you
much
are
the same.
So criminal, like justice.
Sorry, it's their MO is just about the same. You look at Ted Bundy, look at John Wayne Gacy. They follow a pattern. There's no pattern here.
But if he was surprised, maybe his first one was the pattern. Second one was just a fight or flight.
Right.
So I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
The second one was not intentional. First one was intentional. So either it was a crime of passion, or it was an MO of of strangle SA, which is common with some people you've mentioned.
Yeah.
So, bound and choked and whatever.
But, like I said, that's just my intake on it. Like I said, to strangle somebody is a very personal thing.
How does the mafia kill people?
Cement shoes.
Gonna sleep with the fishes.
What he said.
Well, say no, but it doesn't really go down their MO of
exactly.
Of either. If your theory of she's going to out the mafia,
right? Exactly.
Right.
Killing passion and the bullet to the head don't really go together.
No.
I mean, there's no way to really determine if it was mob related or not mob related. But even one way or the other, by looking at it, he could have had ties with the mafia, and it could have not been mafia related all the way around. It could have just
the likelihood of that is so slim.
It was his girl on the side.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe he just wanted to fucking kill somebody.
Who had the kid? The one that got strangled, the one that got shot?
Shot.
Marianne, the one that was shot.
But the girl that got strangled was going to out him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. The daughter of the girl who got shot was going to out.
No, that's
the
not
wife.
what I
That's
said.
what you said.
She's a year and a half old. What's she gonna do?
That's what you said.
No, I said he shot her because she walked in on him hiding Kara. He shot her because
where did the kid
could identify him.
When did you talk about? She pleaded her life because she had a kid. He's like, sorry, gotta go.
Yeah,
shot her. She had the kid.
Yeah, she had the kid. I'm saying he killed her because they both knew him, and she could identify him.
Where did the kid come into play? You said that was going to be like.
I said I had found where she had talked about that
the daughter of
when she was much older.
That's what I'm saying.
Had talked to her grandmother
because she remembers when she's a year and a half old talking to her mom.
No,
that's BS.
No, she had talked to her grandmother about her mother, and her grandmother had said that Kara had threatened this particular family and was going to expose
like as
them.
If she knew that he was part of that person who killed them.
So Mary Ann's mother told
now 20 years old talking
like
to her grandma.
Yes,
she's not
exactly.
Year and a half old talking to her grandma.
She was older. Talking to her grandmother about the death of her mother.
Death of her mother.
That's what I said, Kelly, and you totally told me I was an idiot. I mean, I know I'm an idiot, but come on, please.
Is that what I said?
I don't think so.
It's all good, but nonetheless. So basically, kind of going to wind this down. We're going up on 44 or 42 minutes. We're going to wind this down about 45 minutes. I was not fond of this particular location. I thought that the only technique of investigation that I thought was really interesting to me was the Itsy spider, the Itsy, where they were using that, and then of course the pool in the backyard. I thought that was pretty interesting. However, I don't know that the guy in the pool in the backyard actually had the visions of all that and brought out his psychic ability. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. But that's me not understanding the entire realm of the paranormal and psychics, because I by far am not psychic. Am I sensitive? I've known to feel things in places that I shouldn't be, and things like that. I feel like I've been watched and things of that sort, but I don't necessarily believe that that's going to pop out his psychic ability, but you do.
I do.
So
I thought I had high hopes for the show. I thought the show was a little hokey towards the end, and this is the worst of the bunch.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, I can't wait for us to talk about the general store next week, because I think that's going to open up some whoop ass and some shit there, because I think that was the most between that one and the other one. I think the general store was the most factual as far as the way that she broke it down.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good.
And
now there was one part in that whole episode that I'm not quite sure about, which is the God's helmet.
Because that's the best part.
But
yeah.
He looked like freaking Magneto from
Magneto.
Yes.
From freaking X-Men. I swear to God, with all glowing lights.
Apparently,
need the wheelchair.
Right.
God.
Spot on.
Xavier.
Yeah.
Charles Xavier. Apparently, I am your editor. Because I'm constantly correcting you.
Oh, that's fine. That's what you get paid for. So,
I don't get paid.
Exactly.
She's getting paid?
Yeah, nobody's getting paid. We're paying each other so we can increase our equipment inventory.
Right.
And then paying for what, whatever that other shit is, but who cares? But anyway, I do believe, I think all in all, the show is, and I'll say this each week, I think all in all, the show was very well put together.
Oh, yeah.
I did like the Lorraine and Ed Warren angle to it, which I thought was very interesting. I did not, again, the episode that we discussed tonight, the lumber baron. What the fuck?
Because you even say bearing, like it's
the lumber baron. Yeah,
right. Barons, the opposite of baron.
Yeah.
Right. So the episode we discussed tonight was my least favorite, unfortunately. I don't necessarily think the people in there were horrible. I don't think they were necessarily acting. I do believe they were there doing what they thought they were doing and doing it their best to their ability. I just think that some things were a little too far-fetched. That's my opinion, bottom line.
Yeah.
So, anything to add?
Nope.
All right.
So that's the Lumber Baron Inn.
The Lumber Baron Inn, because now that
Denver, Colorado.
In Denver, Colorado. There we go. And if you guys ever get a chance to go visit there, please leave us a note on our Facebook page or our our YouTube or whatever. I'd be interested to see what you guys thought. Like I said, over the course of the next 4 weeks, we're going to be discussing the other 2 episodes that came through on Netflix, or the properties on the 28 days on Netflix. I'm hoping that Jeff this weekend can join us. We're going to be going out and we're going to be doing a small investigation at a graveyard this weekend, come up Saturday night. We're going to have some of that live on TikTok. We will also have some of that evidence. If we catch anything, we will put, or if we come up with any evidence, we will post that on our next episode prior to discussing the 28 Days Haunted. We are looking at investigating a local building here in Alton, Illinois, coming up in March. We'll tell you all about that next time. And if you guys have any areas in the St. Louis or in local areas that you guys believe that is haunted, that you'd like to have somebody come out and investigate, your home, your business, anything, we are more than welcome to do that. I would like to, if I can find what I did with
Mason Dry Goods and Country Store. That's the name of the place.
That other place?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but this is a Christmas ornament that one of my vendors I'm working with, trying to start coming up with some merch. So that's pretty cool. She made this for us as a kind of as a token of appreciation. We're going to be coming up with some window decals, hopefully some hats getting embroidered.
I thought it was a flask when I walked in.
I know. I was really hoping it was when I opened it. She gave it to me as a Christmas present. I thought it was a flask. That'd have been awesome.
There's the decal.
And if you can see, I don't know if you can see that, which I guarantee you can. And here's the decal that we have coming in from, that's a purple decal. I'm not putting purple on my truck. But nonetheless, hopefully we'll have all that.
I thought you were sensitive.
Yeah, I'm sensitive. I'm just not purple sensitive. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at ron@b2bparanormal.com. As I smack her in the face. You can email Kelly at...
the mic's not working.
Yeah, we know that because I don't have the mic hooked up to that. That's why, I'm sure they can hear us. You can email Kelly
at b2bparanormal.com.
And Jeff at...
No clue.
Me neither.
Jeff.k
at b2bparanormal.com. Or you can just contact us in general at contact us, b2bparanormal.com. And that's going to be it. I appreciate you guys coming in tonight watching us, and we will see you next time.